Martin.
And I started the stream before Martin was ready. On purpose.
I was ready.
We had an hour to get ready, and at the very last second after I've pressed start streaming on YouTube, he runs off to grab his water. By the way, that's not even
water.
That's not water.
It's got water in it.
You could say that of beer, and it doesn't make it water. Anyway, we are coming to you live from Shanghai, where, if we are lucky today, the VPN gods will shine and smile upon us.
They're smiling so far.
So far, so good. We are going to do art review for Alice Asylum. We've got quite a few little bits of art to talk about. Also, I think we're going to catch up on our Cheshire Kitten design process. We're going to give away some prizes. What are we giving away as prizes today?
Going to mix it up a little,
It's
apparently.
a special day.
Yeah. We're doing 2 prizes this week, but it's going to be...
Someone is saying, they're saying repeatedly, no sound, no volume, volume, sound, volume. Is it because of this slider, the desktop audio one?
You mess it up.
I didn't know that desktop audio was our microphone.
Okay,
Hey, read the chats, guys. No, too quiet.
Sound.
Okay, we turned it up. I can't hear you. No sound. I think it should be better now. Wendy says they're not listening to us. Turn up the volume, please. Turn CC on.
Closed captions.
Let us know. I think that it should have been fixed now. It was the desktop audio slider that I turned.
That was the only slider that you tweaked, so that must have fixed it.
Better. Thank
Yay.
you. Okay.
Do we have to say everything again that we just said?
Yeah, we'll do it. Underground Lair, Shanghai, VPN gods.
Got my water. It's not really water.
Martin ran off at the beginning of the stream because he had forgotten his water, even though we had like an extra hour to prepare today.
I just forgot it upstairs.
And it's going to be the usual routine. For those of you who've been here before, we're going to do some art review, but then it's going to be a not usual routine because we're going to do a let's play of a game called Sea of Solitude.
Apparently.
And we're going to give away some special prizes related to Solitude. At least that was my idea.
Yes. We're doing 2 prizes this week instead of the usual 4, but each prize will be the plush rabbit.
There you go. And
Plus,
I always
plus bag?
the whole set.
The whole set.
The White Rabbit Plush Collector Set, which is the bag, the rabbit. Isn't there... Oh, it's the code. You get the code for the rabbit dress.
And the code?
Yeah, but you only get that mailed to you after the fact. So, anyway. Maybe not the code.
Maybe
anyway,
not the code.
We'll talk about that later. So we do have a game to play today. We're going to play Sea of Solitude, and one of the reasons that I want to do that is because it deals with emotions as the basis for the game's sort of premise. It is a representation in the game world of a character's struggle with her emotions, especially having to do with solitude, loneliness. So we're going to jump into that. But first, let's have a look at art review. Now this is a screenshot from Sea of Solitude. Don't get too excited, not a screenshot from our game.
It's a good one, though.
It is a good one. We're just doing this, I guess, randomly. So we'll jump into this poster. This is not Alice, obviously. We are working on a concept for a game jam that is kind of a contest lead into Pirate Jam for all of those people out there who've always wanted to attend Pirate Jam but couldn't afford to do so. We've decided to propose an idea. Now, this is not final yet, but this idea would be that you could engage with this contest. Challenge is what we were told.
Challenge.
You could engage with this challenge in order to win free passage, that is airfare and then being aboard for the event in Thailand. And that would allow you to be out there to go sailing and exploring with us and to jam with us and also to learn from. In this case, we've kind of structured all this around Unity, but who knows, maybe we'll pitch this to Unity and they'll pass, and then we'll go pitch it to Epic and they'll say yes. But so this is the thing we're working on right now. One of the reasons I've tried to reformat this is that in the past we've struggled to get sponsors for Pirate Jam. We always manage to do it, but it's never easy.
Not an easy task.
And I think one of the reasons is that Pirate Jam isn't terribly watchable as an event in and of itself. But something like this would be a global competition, which would attract developers from around the world, and it would mean that there'd be a lot more eyeballs on it. So from a sponsor's point of view, that could be something that makes it more worth sponsoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you've said before, previously, the people had already kind of won. They were already enjoying Thailand.
Yeah.
People don't really want to watch other people having fun.
Yeah.
But now this is the sort of like the pre-competition to win the prize of going and taking part in the jam.
Exactly.
Should be more watchable.
Well, and I think that also, I'm seeing like Ghibli Girl, for instance, is commenting that I wish I had the game making skills. I wouldn't even know how to begin. Well, that's one of the things that I'm hoping this might help to open up, is that you could sit down with an engine like Unity or Unreal. You'd be surprised how much you could learn, how quickly you could put something together to submit to a contest or a challenge like this. And I think we are going to try to take into account, a variety of factors. It's not just like who can make the most amazing, powerful, if we only allowed people to win who had been developing games for 20 years, our selections, I think, would end up being quite vanilla. They'd be a little bit too homogenous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, so anyway, that's Pirate Jam. That's the poster done by Alex. Actually, this is the first time we're looking at it. I think it looks pretty good.
Got some awesome Gen pixel art going on.
I was thinking that when I see a poster in this sort of layout, it pulls me in, that I want to read and I want to understand what's going on. The way that it's done in a way that feels like, hey, I want to explore this. I want to know what these people are pitching, because the big words win and adventure of a lifetime is enough to kind of set the hook, and then what reels me in actually is this sort of to have a bit of text on a poster that makes you think, hey, what are they selling, what are they saying? So I think this works.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The pixel art from Jen is fantastic.
It always is.
I mean,
there's no surprise there.
Alex saw this and then he said, we ought to get Jen to do some pixel art around Alice, and maybe put that kind of stuff on t-shirts. I don't know if people know this, but Jen, she's helping us out across a wide range of things. Obviously, she's helping out with Pixel Jam, Pirate Jam. But if you go look up Jennifer Daw, and you will find she's got a book. You could type into Google like something along the lines of Jennifer Daw Pixel Book. There is a book by her. I think it's over on Amazon.
It is on Amazon.
And it's, oops, I typed that in. I put in too many.
There it is.
Where? Oh, there it is. All right, good. So it's called Make Your Own Pixel Art. And so for those of you who are out there who are interested in becoming artists, like say, for instance, you wanted to participate in this challenge that we're doing, maybe one of the places to start is by making a little pixel art game. So yeah, you could go over to Amazon and you could grab her book, Make Your Own Pixel Art. And I hear this is actually a really good primer on exactly that topic.
Is it?
It goes through and teaches you how to become a pixel artist.
It does look good.
Yeah, it does. She's got a very cute, very distinct style. So anyway, there's a book by Jen. There's pixel art. Go check it out.
Yeah. Who knew we would be promoting Jen's book today?
I don't know. Who knew? Let's promote the Cheshire Kitten. We'll try to get through art review quickly so we can do the Sea of Solitude. So we are working on a Cheshire Kitten plush collector set. These are the 4 elements that will be contained within that set. And so what I'm waiting on is I want finished pieces for all 4 of these quadrants here. The Cheshire Kitten we have, and it's done. Hold that up for everybody there. Font Lord.
Dum, dum, dum.
So that's the Cheshire Kitten. That was like revision number 3 or 4 based on all the feedback and comments from our insane children.
3.
Yeah. So he's looking pretty good. That's the kind of finished plush. So we do have that in hand. The bag is going to be a nylon waterproof reusable bag with Cheshire Cat head on one side and paw print on the other and reflective material. We actually have a sample in hand, but they did the printing of the colors a bit wrong. So we're waiting on a functional, kind of fully realized, correct sample of that. These are the Cheshire Cat embroidered patches. Now, one of our insane children pointed out that the earring was on the wrong side, so we fixed that. It's now on the correct side, but I'm, again, waiting for the sample of that to arrive. We can take pictures of it. And then Omri is working on this. Do you know what that is?
It's the Cheshire layer. Going to be the little area within the game that you will have DLC access to.
Exactly. So what that is, it's the Cheshire Cat lair, which you would find in Alice Asylum, and we're going to give you access to that. I just basically repeated everything you just said. Sorry.
Why not?
There's Humpty Dumpty.
Look at the moon.
There's the moon, is a Cheshire grin. And then there's all these kind of statues and all this kind of jewelry and bling.
And a plushie.
Well, yeah, he's got his own plushie hanging out there. So yeah, this is looking pretty cool, and this is going to be his lair, and you'll pull up to this in the game, and if you have purchased the Cheshire Kitten plush collector set, then you will have been emailed. Please don't write us asking where you get your codes for these things. They will be emailed to you around the time the game is launched, but it will be emailed to you a code for opening this door, and when you go inside, there'll be all kinds of something. Stuff and things.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if you opened the door and it was just like, nah, just kidding. Nothing in here. It's empty. Why has he done these standing rocks?
Maybe he's been playing Days Gone.
He might be playing Days Gone. We're going to have to make it so you can walk up to those and press X to knock them over. Yeah. So he's working on the door design. I think this is a design he took from... you'll know in the chat. I think it's Skyrim. It looks Skyrim-y based on these textures here. But so he was trying to find a kind of analog to the kind of mysterious code-locked door.
Yeah.
And so that's what that is. So we're basically going for something like this for the Cheshire Cat's lair. Anyway,
I think it suits it.
If you're following all this stuff over on Patreon, don't do anything with your pledge just yet. What are we thinking on timing?
Next month, we will push this.
Which month is that?
August. Yeah.
August.
So, yeah, we're hoping that with a big push in August, we can achieve the goal in August.
Yes.
And there will be a specific tier on Patreon. There'll be no crazy-ass instructions about, if you're at this tier, adjust your pledge by this much, blah, blah, blah. It'll be literally, pick this tier. Full stop.
There you go.
And yet some people will still get confused.
Yeah. Right. Ray Weatherford has dropped a super chat.
Thank you very much, Ray. It's always in there first, Ray, isn't he? Yeah, thank you for that. More for the Lulu Get Better Fund. And first tip.
Well, thank you very much, Ray. That's appreciated. Yeah, she's sleeping just over there off camera. She's
fine.
She's like a little bean. But yeah, she's healing up. She actually had her stitches removed 2 days ago. She still has some stitches in, but some of them were removed. I don't know. I always thought that you took stitches out, you just took them all out. But they left a few in, and they said, come back, and we'll take the rest of them out. But she's doing quite well.
I would also have assumed that they all came out at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. But thank you for that, Ray. And yes, Lulu's doing very well. And she does actually have a new set of treats that have been ordered. That didn't get her attention. But anyway, the TREATSs have been ordered, and they are on the way, and they should be arriving even today.
Wow.
There you go. In the art review folder, we also have this is the kind of header image for the YouTube episode I just uploaded yesterday. This is from crowd design session number 14. If you have been following what we're doing over on Patreon, you'll know that we have a Discord server, and that's where our insane children get together to do all kinds of chatting and creative stuff. And one of the things that we do is try to do a weekly basis, a crowd design session, and we go through the various elements of the design, the art, the story that we're working on, and we get feedback directly from the fans. If you miss it live, then you can go and check these out on YouTube. So yeah, that was that one. What's that, Martin?
Ooh, what is that? This is new stickers that we're using to seal up the posters that we send out. In the past, we roll them up and we used a kind of a masking tape, just a little ripped off tag of tape to stop the folders from unfurling. Kind of did its job for the most part.
They always unfurled in the tube.
For the most part. But yeah, now we have actual silvery, shiny, mysterious stickers to keep them rolled up and secure.
Yeah.
They are, I've not seen this myself, but I have been told that they are extremely sticky.
Yeah,
and they cannot be peeled off.
Exactly. You don't peel them off.
So you have to sort of get a little blade or knife or razor and just slide it down the edge there to unfurl them.
Well,
if you're getting a poster, remember that.
They now serve a sort of dual purpose. One is obviously keeping the posters rolled up in transit, which is important. But the other is that because they are not really removable, they become a kind of certificate of authenticity. Because I think it'd be a little bit of a challenge, maybe beyond most people to want to deal with, to recreate these sort of embossed aluminum sticker thingies with our logos and this design and stuff on there. So I'm hoping that in the future, people will be able to look at these and like see not only that they've been autographed, but also they've got the sticker on there, and then you'll know that, hey, that's an original. Anyway, we'll see.
Getting there step by step. We are professional every day.
We're trying always to think about these things. That kind of is the stuff I've put in the folder.
Didn't get a lot of stuff in.
Well, I try not to load it up too much today because we're going to do a Let's Play. We can do a quick browse through Trello here and just see if I've missed anything. Now, I don't know that the live stream people saw this yet. This is the House of Horrors, and this is what we talked about during this week's crowd design session, was the content of the posters that are draped around the outside of the House of Horrors, Horror House. And what we were talking about, if you go listen to that crowd design session, is the idea that these posters might contain ads for, or sort of marketing for, various things around the fairgrounds that are related to illusion. So what were some of the ideas that our insane children came up with?
Casting my mind back to Tuesday, there was the forgetful potions.
I liked that one.
That was quite a good idea.
What about the magician?
I remember the magician idea.
The Great Martini.
Yeah.
Master of Illusion.
Master of Illusion and fonts. But yeah, just sort of general Victorian style-y posters.
Yeah.
Up and around the place.
I mean, I'm always really impressed with the kind of creative ideas that our insane children come up with when we're talking about these things. So yeah, that turned out really nice. That conversation went really well. I'm trying to see what else we've got going on in here. The main focus these days right now, you can see under the doing section, is that we're doing the denial section of the game, which of course is encapsulated within a circus. And so this is the circus poster for the show that Alice will end up being conscripted into.
Yep.
Shanghaied would be the actual proper term for that. Yeah, so this is what we're working on right now. And then once we are satisfied that we've properly fleshed out the story, the characters, and the gameplay for this area, we'll move on to the next section of the game. Again, if you're interested in all that kind of stuff, you can always head over to Patreon and jump on our Discord, and you can join us in all of that kind of fun stuff. Is there anything else that we missed out on here? What's a cotton bat?
Yeah, why is there a...
Says... Somebody wrote, I feel like we need this type of bat somewhere in the game just so we can have him as merch.
Probably Jen.
That looks like something that Jennifer would be very interested in having in the game or otherwise. He's quite cute.
Yeah.
Would you cuddle with him?
Maybe.
Go on, Martin.
Nuke Mall.
Nuke 'em all.
Nuke
'em all. Nuke 'em all. Nuke them all.
I know. I'm just thinking Nuke Mall or Nuke 'em all. Anyway, have you guys taken any inspiration from the grim fairy tales beyond Wonderland comics?
I don't quite understand that question. Have you taken any inspiration from the Grimm fairy tales? I'm assuming this means Grimm, Grimm, like the original collection of fairy tales by the Brothers Grimm.
Probably.
And then Beyond the Wonderland comics.
Is there a set of comics called Beyond Wonderland?
From the Grimm Fairy Tales Beyond Wonderland. Oh, is that what it's called? The thing is called Grimm Fairy Tales Beyond.
Maybe. Google it.
I don't know, Nukamal. This malformed question does not compute. I can't. Maybe try to explain that a little better in the comments there, because anyway, I'm thinking the answer is no, because
Sounds like a no.
We don't generally take inspiration from other fairy tale or Alice interpretations for fear of getting in trouble. We could be called plagiarists, or we could be sued. So in general, I have a rule not to take inspiration from existing products in order to avoid those sort of accusations. So
Probably
that
very
would be
wise.
That would be the answer there. Someone is saying, Ancient Child Artistry asked, what is this Trello thing? This Trello thing, first of all, on a larger scale, Trello is a website that you can go and sign up for, and anybody can build. This is called a Trello board, and anybody can build a Trello board of anything. We are using it as a project management tool because, as you can see, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people currently engaged on various. This is Alice Asylum and mysterious stuff. Mm-hmm. And so in order to keep the flow of all of what we're doing somewhat organized, we use Trello because it's a good place to put together art and notes and things like that. So you can see here, like for instance, Alex did this team flyer, which we still haven't kind of approved or decided what we're going to do anything with, but this is an overview of our team. And so Alex put this together and then put it up on Trello and said, hey, team, take a look at this, see what you think. And so it lists out all the people who are participating in. Did I take that picture of you?
Yenny took that picture.
Oh, Yin took that picture.
Oh, no,
Martin.
She modified it.
Oh, okay.
To make it look less ugly.
Well, that wouldn't be very much modification, Martin. So yeah, there's all this kind of stuff. So we post up things the team would be working on. Sometimes we use it for scheduling of those things, but for the most part, we're using it, like you can see, there's, working on the Cheshire plushie, and then we've got comments in here. I think he looks great. Alex says, I reckon he's ace. I think he's done. So this gives us a place to chat and to share our internal comments. Baby safe. It's cheaper than manufacturing buttons. This is just us having various back and forths. There you go.
That's what Trello is.
That is what Trello is.
Yeah.
Where were we?
We were. What's going on in the art thing?
Yeah, that's it.
That
brings us to the end of art review. It was the bag, the door, crowd design, the labels. That's it. I didn't really load up that much art today because, again, we're going to do this this Let's Play.
And what about the old chat screen over here? Let's scroll down. Did we miss anything?
No, that's it. So what we said was we're going to do 2 giveaways today. So I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to do the first giveaway because we're coming up on the half hour. And then we're going to do the Let's Play of Sea of Solitude. And then at the end of that, we're going to do the second giveaway. And again, today's giveaway in the theme with Solitude is a White Rabbit plush, which if you're feeling lonely, you can snuggle with and it'll make you feel less lonely. So what is going to be the first question for today's?
Are we doing a question now? Because we normally do that for prize giveaway.
You're going to have to... I'm very easily confused today. So we're about to give away a rabbit, and then we're going to go into playing the game.
Oh, I thought we were spreading it out. Do one on an hour and do one at the end of 2 hours.
Nah, we're going to do one now, and then we're going to play.
Right. I don't know, something about my tags, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. So as you can see, maybe not,
Yes.
The Great Martini has... something.
I have a fashionable shirt. There's a lot of shirts on Taobao these days that have these sort of flappy tags hanging off the pockets and sort of dongles and zips and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, What do you think? Well, this isn't the question. Should I cut them off or keep them? But
that's the question? Wait, what's the question?
No, I'm just saying, if you want to say. But the question was, this has a poem on it. For some weird reason. This one has a poem on it. So...
Well, you weren't supposed to tell them it's a poem.
Well, we could ask
and it's
them
not even a poem.
Is it not? What is it?
It's a short essay.
Okay. Well, I can't read it from here. Maybe we're going to ask them what the essay was.
I think that was what we were going to do. They were going to try to guess at what essay you could possibly
I can't focus on it when it's that close. My goddamn eyes.
Anyway, if you'd like to win a rabbit...
What essay is written on my shirt?
Yes. Guess in the chat. Spam up the chat.
Let's give them a line from it or something.
Well, then they're going to Google it.
Let's give them a very short line.
That's really... They're just going to Google it.
When I'm 18, that will be it.
Okay, let's see. I mean, if it was me, I would just punch that into Google. Yes, it is bizarre that you'd find this type of thing. I don't know if this is normal in other countries, but certainly in China, it's very normal to find that products of all shapes and sizes, from baby prams to t-shirts, will have content that has been just literally copied off of the internet and then pasted into the product descriptions. And I'm guessing that that's what's happened here. Someone went online and they found a blob of text, I guess a popular blob of text, and they copied it and they pasted it on and they put it on that tag, and then they sewed the tag to that otherwise normal shirt.
That's pretty much what happened, I expect.
Have you ever noticed the back of the pirate DVD boxes, how they'll copy and paste?
In the past, I have noticed that sometimes what they paste on the box has literally nothing to do with the movie.
Well, sometimes it'll be nothing to do with the movie, but sometimes it'll be reviews of the movie, and it'll be reviews taken from sort of public review sites. And so a lot of times you'll get really funny, like, this is crap, this movie is the worst movie, or it'll say, like, I watched this movie with my girlfriend and she liked it, but I thought it was garbage, So you stood there and you're looking at what looks like a fairly professionally made pirate DVD box, but it's got all this text on it. And then also the other thing they do is they'll just copy and paste the description of the movie from the wrong movie.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and that's always quite a lot of fun. Looks like you're getting a couple of...
No one's got it so far.
No one's got it. I don't know why they would. Well, why don't you let them know? Why don't you read the first bit here?
Tucked away in our subconscious minds is an idyllic vision. We see ourselves on a long, long trip that almost spans the continent. We are traveling by passenger train, and out the windows we drink in the passing scene of cars on nearby highways, of children waving at crossing, of cattle grazing on a distant hillside, of smoke pouring from a power plant. Jeez, this goes on. Of row upon row of corn and wheat, of flatlands and valleys, of mountains and rolling hills, of biting winter and blazing summer, and cavorting spring and docile fall.
There you go. And what is that?
The Station by Robert Hastings.
Woohoo! Good one, Martin.
And I've tucked it away now, so there is no more station to be observed.
Nightbot has decided that it is One-Eyed Skull.
One-Eyed Skull won last week?
Really?
Well, maybe. Or the week before. No, it was the week before.
All right. Well, One-Eyed Skull, congratulations. You won a White Rabbit plush. Now, if you decide that you already have one and you don't want it, you could give it away. And so let us know. But if you do decide to keep it, you need to send an email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Be sure to include your name, your phone number, the thing that you've won. Do all that in a format which does not cause us frustration, and also do that within 24 hours.
Yes.
And then we will get that out to you.
We did miss a super chat.
Did we?
From Ice Killer.
And what did he say?
It's basically, my secret has been revealed on that staff chart thing.
What was that?
Don't say.
What was your secret?
It's my super secret.
Oh, your name.
That no one could have possibly ever figured out.
Your name that starts with a B. All right. Well, we are going to jump into Sea of Solitude. Now, I have been looking forward to Sea of Solitude for quite some time since I first heard about it. And you might imagine several of the reasons why. Can you imagine why?
Because you like boats.
I like boats. But I'm also obviously a fan of the idea of games that deal with emotional issues as the foundation of their journey, of the narrative. And so when I saw that this was a game that not only employed the use of boats to explore a surreal landscape, again, I mean, another thing I like is surreal art in games, but also that it's dealing with the concept of emotions, I thought that might be a game for me. Now,
Sounds like it.
Had you heard of or seen any news about this?
I had heard of it. I'd seen it on my perusal of YouTube. I thought it looked like, I like the style of it. But it seemed, I don't know, for the gameplay, it didn't really grab me.
Right.
So it wasn't on my radar as something I had to get. But yes, I'd certainly heard of it.
All right. Well, that is what we're going to jump into. This game is called Sea of Solitude. Now, in the chat, you're going to have to let us know if the sound is too loud, too whatever. I don't know if we can even fix this, to be honest with you. We may find that there's some problems going into this. But so Sea of Solitude is by Jo-Mei Games.
Yes.
Is that right? And the designer, who I am chatting with sometimes on Twitter, is named Cornelia Geppert. And as far as I could tell, this is the first game out of Jo-Mei. Would you call that Jo-Mei?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a check. We couldn't find anything else.
Alrighty. I'm going to put headphones on, and I'm going to hope. Yes, there's noise. And I can hear myself.
I'm going to put half a headphone on.
Yes, half a headphone. Now, can you tell people a little bit about... Well, let's start here. I've already launched and played about maybe 3 minutes of this before. And so it starts off with this message from Cornelia, and she says that the game obviously contains sensitive topics that some players may find distressing, again, related to mental and emotional wellness. Any comments about our sound levels?
Nothing yet, but then again, I think they're about 30 seconds behind.
I'm dying from this this echo, or the delay.
Well, once we find out that the sound is fine, then maybe we can take the headphones off.
Yeah, but then we can't hear her dialogue.
Have you got subtitles on?
I might have subtitles on.
Switch them on.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying anything.
So I guess it's okay.
Echo. Oh, sound is good. We can hear it.
All right. But it's also interesting that she starts off by saying that this is a personal project.
I'm still trying to piece it together, but I can't.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm completely torn apart.
Speaking.
She is speaking.
I have family.
I hear her
have
voice.
friends. And yet here I am. Feeling lonely. Again. What is wrong with me? I'm so tired of it. So damn tired. There must be a way out of here. I want to change it. Change me!
So, I am really attracted to the art style of this. I think it's beautiful. I wonder what engine they made this in. But I really like surreal, and it's also simplistic. It's minimalist. I like the design on her, though it reminds me a bit of the dress.
It does.
And why
we
is
did
it
for
so
Alice.
dark?
It does look like the death
A
dress
light.
or whatever we called it.
Maybe I'm not alone after all.
Exactly.
It was a butterfly.
Now somebody says,
They might need help.
I love her German accent.
should
Of course,
get
it's
closer.
made by a German studio, and the city that she's exploring is meant to be an underwater approximation of Berlin.
Sunken Berlin.
Exactly. So right off the bat, you get some WASD movement controls. Now, I found when I was playing the other day, you can't really go off track. Like if you decided, I'm going to go explore around, at least at the beginning here, you're very much inside of a kind of corridor. So you can't mess it up. Again, big fan of the waves, of the representation of the sea. And I think that the boat feel is
Hey!
spot on. It's really good.
Are you alright?
Kay!
People tend to
You're here
nail
again.
water mechanics quite well
How do
these
you know
days.
who I am?
What a silly question. Here, I have a present for you. Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you for the present.
She helped out. She made blue skies for us.
Everything's better.
Everything's
Yeah.
better.
I haven't seen the sun in... I don't remember.
That's
now,
better.
we read
Are you ready,
some
Kay?
of the feedback out of the game. And we looked at the critical scores, and this is actually one of the reasons that I really wanted to play this game and talk about this game, is because it is sold as an emotional journey and as a personal journey. And I'm very interested in
How
the
did
critical
she...
reception to games that present themselves as personal art.
I must be imagining
And
this.
it is...
I know who
We've
you're
kind
looking
of touched
for.
on this a little bit before the
What?
stream. There's a lot to talk about.
Who do you mean?
So yeah, we'll get into
Not
a little
telling.
bit of that. Pull up the articles
This
on my
flare
phone.
belongs
Yeah,
with
what was,
you.
what was sort of the general consensus?
It's the game
Now you can use it too.
itself is
Go
probably
on.
not all
Shoot
that
it.
special. The actual mechanics and the stuff you're doing,
Shoot it?
and some of the themes contained within are maybe as subtle as people
Let's
would
go,
like.
let's go.
Everything's
He's waiting
really
for
on the
us.
nose.
Who's
There's no
waiting
hinting
for
at
us?
stuff. It's like,
This
here's the
girl's so
loneliness
strange.
monster. Defeat it.
Right. Well, but what's interesting is this is very much what we're talking about doing with Asylum. So here we have a game where the primary emotion being explored is one of solitude, and what we've talked about with Asylum is exploring the stages of
beautiful.
PTSD from...
It reminds me of Venice.
The game audio apparently is drowning us out somewhat when it's loud.
I don't know. Well, let's, the game audio is a bit too loud. Alright. Let's see if we can fix that. Master volume.
I reckon that'll fix it.
I'm thinking it might. Alright. Where was I?
And we talked about it being too on the nose.
Right, but I was mentioning that with Asylum, we're also talking about exploring emotion. And that we're talking about representations of emotions. And so, in that way, it's very similar. So how are we avoiding the issue of being too on the nose? Or, in other words, what makes this feel that way to people? I guess is one of the questions.
I guess it is. But, yeah, what was it we saw in one of the comments? People are saying that the sort of the light and dark, black and white representation of like despair and hope, it's a little overdone. So maybe we
You're
need
so
to be sure to
slow.
avoid that.
Come on.
I'm not sure that I'm as concerned about that sort of comment, because that's almost like the same group of people who say, oh my god, zombies have been done to death, and yet zombies continue to be really successful.
Let's play hide and seek.
The light
You're
and
it.
dark thing, I don't think
I'm gonna get
that's
you.
the biggest issue.
Never.
It may be an issue, but I think it's the kind of issue that's easy to bring up when there are other things about the product that you're struggling with. Maybe does that make sense?
Huh.
Yeah, it's like
Now I
an
know
easy
the flare
target.
can't go through walls.
We
It's
have a
not
few-
necessarily the correct target.
A few super chats coming through there.
Razmaz, super chats. Thank you for that. Can we buy the exclusive dresses DLC separately?
I need to go around it.
I'm guessing. I guess. Yeah, we've always said that regardless of whether the dress has come from like a Patreon reward or whether it's in the game, there will be nothing unobtainable to you just because you didn't get it
got
at the
me.
beginning. We definitely didn't want to lock people out of getting
This
something.
isn't fair.
Yep.
So if it's
Because
available,
I am be
it will be
invisible.
available. So yes, don't
no.
worry, Razmaz.
We're not making exclusive
I'll
content.
make you leave you alone.
That's, I think, the main point. So what she's asking is, can we buy the exclusive dresses? There won't be exclusive dresses. There will only be early access dresses.
What happened to the weather?
Lilium West super chats as well. Thank you. Speaking of emotions, I'm curious to know which emotion you both find the most difficult to deal with. The emotional aspect of the Alice games is part of the reason why I love it so much. Good question. Which emotion? Difficult to deal with.
Well, I think everyone, in line with the game that we're looking at here, many people struggle with loneliness. It's probably one of the sort of bigger issues of especially modern day life, that the more connected we feel, actually the more lonely we become. And I think a lot of people feel very uncomfortable being alone, and that's one of those questions about whether or not we should try to cure our loneliness or learn to live with loneliness. But that's a whole...
You have no idea what you're doing, do you? As you
This is an angry monster.
I'm trying.
She called us a piece of S.
She knows my name. Did you do something to the girl?
I wouldn't have cursing in Alice because she's a little girl. I don't think we've ever used a naughty word.
But she would have heard them.
She might
surely.
have.
So they could be in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to say, get bent, governor.
So, as far as the emotions that I struggle with, I don't know if it's... trying to think. I actually get... I think mine would be like anger or a kind of frustration. Impatience could be mine. So I definitely deal with that.
Yeah.
Rage. We've got a rage dress in the game, so I definitely deal with that.
I can be impatient when things are not going right. I really want to fix things as fast as humanly possible.
That's control.
So if I'm waiting on someone, like if I've emailed them or I need to make a phone call, but I need to wait until like the Earth has rotated so I can call someone at the other side of the planet, I get really frustrated if I can't fix something straight away.
Yep.
But yeah, I calm down eventually. For like an hour or so, I'm really sort of like tense and wound up, and like, I need to do this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've said to you before, I think that is a function of your desire to control things. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. We all want to feel like we've got control. My mouse turning is very slow. Frustratingly so. Let's see
Is
if
it
I
the
can...
same if you put it on the mat?
Yep. Needs some help.
Fix that.
Mouse sensitivity. Let's see here. Camera speed. Mouse look. Do you see?
I don't.
It's not camera speed,
Try
is
it.
it? No, I don't know. Maybe that's better.
It looks a little better, but it still looks kind of mushy.
Yeah, it is a little better.
According to some people here, let's see, we have Ghibli Girl says Madness Returns had a few questionable lines like Spunk Bucket.
Yeah, but it's not your traditional cursing.
But Callista believes the F-bomb was dropped by Alice's nanny.
I think that she did. I think that's right. But I don't know if she did it at Alice, is my point.
Right.
Nobody, anyway.
So you wouldn't want people cursing at
such terrible
Alice.
things.
I think more importantly, I wouldn't want her cursing.
Why?
That's the main thing.
Right.
But, even the character here is saying that monster said terrible things. So she feels it. She feels that the monster said terrible things. Cursing at her.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things that we read, was that the game could conceivably be better played with the dialogue turned off.
Those things.
And we haven't played it long enough yet here to draw our own conclusion, but in the little bit of time that I did spend playing it, I did also get that sense of like the dialogue being a little bit too on the nose. But
I believe somebody mentioned that earlier. Might have been Lucas or Asteria. Sorry, it scrolled past. Mentioned the voice acting was not great.
Am I damaging this thing? Is this the right thing to do? What I'm doing here? Clear. Oh, I've got to clear corruption.
Clear the
There's a
corruption.
new button.
With
Hold
E.
E. I'm holding E. Doesn't
Go
seem
closer.
to. I'm trying.
E.
Is it working? Is E clearing the corruption?
It appears to be vibrating. And
It
you're
is
sucking-
vibrating.
You're sucking something into your backpack.
Am I? Oh yeah, I'm vacuuming stuff into the backpack. Seems to be. I don't know if this is gameplay, like on purpose, or this is frame rate issues. It's hard to tell.
Frame rate, you got the 1060 in this PC.
Is that me?
Not top of the range, but it's
Look at
good
that.
enough.
I got a piece of myself. Now I can focus. What the hell?
Use mouse to focus.
What? I'm moving the mouse around.
Focus on that bad thing.
That look. This is all the movement I get. You can see how much I'm moving my arm around, and man, I'm telling you, it's not letting me
Focus
turn.
more better. Use the middle button.
It's not doing anything.
Scroll wheel.
It's not doing anything. You need to believe me. This is left, right, as far as I can go, and this is up, down, as far as I can
Go
go.
even further.
Have at it, Font Lord.
Well.
Have at it. Oh, he says, "Oh, what the, governor?" Tom Resnick sends a super chat while Font Lord struggles with the controls of this game. Says, "Will we see a return of Dr. Hieronymus Q. Wilson, and who wrote the Universal Fiction Casebook Manual for the first game?" Yeah, I mean, I think there should be some reference to Hieronymus. How did you do that?
Focused with the mouse.
You cannot tell me, and then we can get stuck
I
later.
scrolled very slowly to the side. Instead of wanging it around, I moved very slowly until the pointer appeared to be moving.
Interesting. I would think that just moving the mouse would move the mouse.
Apparently not.
Interesting one. Alrighty. It does feel like you actually get faster movement out of slower. Do you notice that? Look, this is slow mouse movement. This is fast mouse movement. Do you see that? It's reversed.
Weird.
Why is it backwards like that?
Stop looking at me.
Don't know.
Get the light away.
Literally, the faster you move the mouse here, the slower it moves on screen.
I need to find
It's
more light.
exactly
Maybe
backwards.
it's supposed to be frustrating. It's part of the emotion.
Maybe. Can be. I'm not sure.
Did you answer the Hieronymus
I did.
Q
While you
doodah?
were figuring out the counterintuitive mouse speed control movement
Those handprints.
madness.
That's
the
his
girl?
official name, by the way.
Maybe she's still alive.
Hieronymus Q Doodah.
It was.
Just keep playing. I'm just scrolling through this Kotaku article.
Well, yeah, so we read two articles. One from Kotaku, as Martin calls it.
What do you call
and
it?
Kotaku? Kotaku?
Kotaku.
Seems dangerous.
One from Kotaku and one from Eurogamer. Now, Eurogamer, I remember, was quite harsh to Madness Returns. If I remember correctly, they gave it like a 50 on their review of Madness Returns, and I thought that was a bit harsh. And then Kotaku, I can't remember what they did, but this brings to mind the general topic that has been sort of in my brain from time to time, and that is when it comes to reviewing games, how much should we take into account the artist's intentions and sort of the personal nature of the stories being told, or kind of the connection that the game might have emotionally with a particular segment of an audience? And should reviewers
Hello there.
more closely mirror the type of audience that a game is meant for? And instead of just sort of willy-nilly assigning, hey, it's a game, let's just throw a game reviewer on it. Does that make sense?
It does. On the one hand, you would assume and hope that a game reviewer could put themselves in the mindset of the person that the game is intended for. You gave the example earlier, before we went live, of, magazines for teen girls exist, but you wouldn't expect somebody who is like a serious sports writer to review one of those magazines for whether it's any good or not.
Well, I mentioned teen girl novels, right? So would you have a guy who normally writes for, say, a motorcycle racing magazine? Would you have him write the reviews for girls, teen girl fiction?
Exactly.
And I think that what we saw in the two articles that we read, now one of them was by a Kotaku writer. He is a he, it's a male. And then the other one was the Eurogamer reviewer, was a woman. Both of them expressed discomfort at disliking what the game was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that was interesting to read reviewers expressing sense that perhaps this game just wasn't for me, isn't for me. I'm wondering if there shouldn't be more of that in game reviews.
Right here in the chat, Terry Baker's Bag Boy Diaries says reviewers in general should have the maturity to step away from their own self-interest. You would hope.
I just got eaten. Now, if that's a representation of myself, did I just eat myself? Just curious. Yeah, I mean, that is the question. If reviewers should be able to say, hey, this is just not the game for me. So one of the things that happened with Madness Returns was we had a lot of people say that the game went on sort of too long. And it's obvious that, reviewers, a lot of times they don't feel like they have time for a game to drag on. But we had customers, fans, who would say things like, this game didn't go on long enough. So who's right? Do you make games for reviewers, or do you make games for your audience, or do you make games, hey, for yourself? Because games, are games an art expression, and what do we expect out of art when especially it's personal art?
Well, I don't think you make games for reviewers. It's probably a mixture of for yourself and for an audience.
But at some point they are a commercial endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
And so you also have to take into consideration making games for reviewers. Because they're art, but we sell them.
Yeah. And this kind of feeds in, again, a little bit to what you were just alluding to there. We mentioned this morning, like, games having shields. Not literal shields in the game, but if a game is perceived to be not arty in any way, but you should take the subject seriously, like mental health in this one, or Hellblade, or whatever. Are those games now immune from criticism, even if you didn't like the game, because they're trying to do something and raise awareness?
Well, this is the question. Because you could have a game that has the good intention of raising awareness or highlighting an artist's, journey, personal story. Maybe it's just not executed very well. And so are we allowed to say that?
You should be allowed to say it, but, we live in an age where, if you criticize something, you are labeled as something.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. It's not right. But yeah, that's the world we're living in.
I really like the this phrase. There's actually a little cute song on YouTube. It's okay to not like things, but don't be a dick about it. You ever heard that song before? So I mean, I could go around writing reviews about how much I don't like the latest country music, whatever album. By the way, I'm not actually expressing a like or dislike for country music. I'm just trying to think randomly of some So if you like country music, more power to you. But anyway, my point is, I wouldn't, if I was not a fan of country music, I wouldn't go around making reviews about country music and then telling everybody that, right? Am I going to get eaten?
More of
Oh,
those.
I see. And yet, when it comes to games, I think oftentimes a game reviewer is just a sort of general game reviewer. Did I just die? Oh no, I just cleared that. You have a general game reviewer, and somehow that general game reviewer is supposed to both, review and understand the World War II shooter and also the emotional project like Sea of Solitude. I guess it depends on how big that publication is as well.
I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I seem to have cleared up this area.
It looks like it. It looks bright and shiny.
Now, I really, again, I have to stress, I love the nature of the quality of the setting here. Big fan of the water, big fan of the little fishies, big fan of all the nautical elements. And there's a very calm, relaxing, just kind of being in the place that's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Does look nice.
I wonder how complicated it was for them to get this water right.
It's probably just a plug-in.
That's a lot of dismissing going on there.
In this
Font
day
Lord.
and age, you don't need to make your own water effects. I'm sure there's 1,000 plugins for every single engine.
Do you know that plugins don't really just kind of work like that? Yes, there may be a plugin, but to suggest that you don't then have to spend a bunch of time customizing it and fixing it up to suit your particular use ignores. They're usually, plugins are sort of a base. They're not the finished product that you ship a game with.
Okay.
Because they tend not to be very well optimized. They tend not to be built for, like, say, use in such a large space like this. I would guess that her tech team had to spend quite a bit of time getting the water effect to work and to work at the frame rate that they were looking for.
Well, if anybody at Jo-Mei Games is listening, let us know how long you spent on the water.
They might tell you.
Right.
You don't know what you're talking about there, Font Lord.
Probably will.
Yeah. But yeah, I think art-wise, really nice. Really, really nice art presentation. I like the color palette. I like, the shape, the kind of minimalist design of this stuff. It's just like the right amount of detail. The music's really good.
Is it? Let me have a listen.
There's not much right now. A message in a bottle. It used to be way greener in here, a lot like our garden at home. Looks like the owners stopped coming here, and so did everyone else. Oh, that's sad. Very sad. A message in a bottle.
Right.
That's the first monster I met
Shizu
here.
Man
There must be another light nearby.
mentioned something that we
Maybe I
mentioned this
can make her
morning.
leave.
So even if it's your game, people do have the right to criticize. Doesn't mean that you didn't manage to achieve your own goal, just that the artist die when the art is watched by someone else.
That's a good point. I like that phrase. The artist dies when the art is watched by someone else. I mean, there's another variation on that I remember from somewhere, that the art stops being yours at the point where you release it to the public. It becomes the viewers. And I think that's true
What's the seagull
as
doing
well.
here?
Ice Killer, Super Chats, thank you very much. I once read a review for a puzzle game that is one of my favorite game series. The reviewer said that it's kind of boring and so on. And then at the end said that they don't like puzzle games.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what I remember some of the reviews being for, games I've worked on. Such and such, don't like this, but I don't generally like action-adventure games or third-person games. Okay, maybe you shouldn't have been reviewing that.
Yeah, and it's, you've got to be careful not to just see a review, see a score, and just think that's it, black and white, done.
But I think the point I'm trying to make about the reviews that we've seen for Sea of Solitude is that they are interesting in the fact that they've caused the authors to come out and say they feel uncomfortable about their own perspective,
Dislike.
their own dislike of the game. That is something I don't know that I've seen much of in the past. And I think that might go, like you said, to the kind of shield that's created. Maybe even, one of those critics mentioned that there's this message at the start of the game that says, hey, this is a personal journey from me, the game's creator. And that sets up a sense in the reviewer to maybe go easy or to feel bad.
Certainly, the reviews we looked at, they have certainly gone easy. So, I mean, for example, if it was just some sort of random shooter, blood and guts everywhere, and the reviewer didn't like it, I'm sure the reviewer would rip it a new one. It would be bash this, bash that, this is terrible, you should feel bad for making this game. But yeah, the reviewers that we read, those two, they were making excuses for why they didn't like it. It's like they felt embarrassed for not liking such a serious subject.
So here's a question I have for you. Alice Madness Returns was made by a majority Chinese team in China, and it was the first complete AAA Western console title to be built by almost entirely Chinese team. In other words, they were doing something that no one had ever done before.
Yep.
Should that be taken into account with the review? I'm not saying one way or the other, but if a message pops up at the start of a game and says, hey, I, the creator, this is my journey, this is what the game means to me, would it also be fair to have a message pop up and say, hey, you're playing the first ever AAA console title for the West, which was entirely built by a Chinese team in China? I mean, it's context.
It is context.
So who gets to choose what context is valid and what context is not?
And I'm certain that the lady, forget her name, Geppert,
Cornelia,
who made this, didn't mean for that. It's a kind of, here's a little primer for my game, just so you get it. But maybe that's how it came across to some reviewers. I can't criticize this now because it's personal to someone.
But we didn't read it as that. I mean, I didn't read people saying, I can't criticize this. They're saying, I feel bad. But my point is, should these products, should games, are games allowed sometimes to have, oh, here we go. This is the focus thing. So I have to turn the mouse really...
See the end of the focus moving?
Is it moving? Oh, it is! Oh, man, look at that. It's very slowly moving. Very slowly.
It was really slow.
What are you talking about?
But how would we look at the world differently? And how would we rate and judge things differently if everything came with context?
Well,
That's not true.
things would be different, I'm sure.
Try to help people. Stop saying I don't.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because, I mean, context is important, but it shouldn't be seen as an excuse.
So there's an interesting story I like to tell, and I tell myself because, as I mentioned before, I sometimes have an issue with, like, anger or frustration, and it has to do with being frustrated at people in general. And the story, it came from a book I read at one point, and the author said he was on a subway, and there's this man on the subway with two children, and the children are screaming and crying and acting like complete monsters. And the author says, that everybody was looking at the situation, and somebody was wishing that anybody would say something. Hey, get your kids under control. And so finally, I'm gonna jump. You ready? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump. Woo, nice one. Oh no, the monster's coming.
It's okay, you're in the light.
I'm so glad to have you back.
Phew, I got my boat back. Anyway, so the author continues the story and says that eventually he goes over and he says, hey, mister, get your kids under control. They're screaming and crying and they're making everybody really uncomfortable. My controls are reversed. Has that always been that way? Anyway, so he tells the guy, get your kids under control, and the guy looks up and says, oh, I'm so sorry, their mother just died. And I'm trying to figure out how to break it to them. We're just coming from the hospital. okay, well, the guy, you know, writing the book, obviously the lesson he took away from it was to be careful about your frustrations towards other people because you don't understand the context. Now, if we made a habit of doing that, if we understood the full context of why things are, why people are the way they are, maybe we wouldn't be so harsh towards each other, towards the things that are made. I don't know.
I think you're right, but again, I also think it's open to abuse.
Sure. Well,
People going for the pity vote.
Yes.
And again, I have no doubt that that is not what has happened on any of the games that deal with mental health issues these days, but it could be a tactic.
Well, I've seen people make that criticism of the Alice games. Oh, you know, gothy emotional, you know, guys riding on his tough childhood type of stuff. I mean, it's not, it wouldn't be the first time for me to see people, you know, making that as a criticism. So, you know, there's a lot of cynicism in the world.
There is.
You know, to be clear, by the way, we're not trying to come up with a solution for any of this. I'm not complaining about the reviews that I've received or the reviews that we've seen for this game. I just think it's a really interesting topic. And again, interesting because this game elicited that kind of response in not just one review, but in quite a few reviews. And those were the headlines. Like, I wanted to like Sea of Solitude, and I feel bad that I didn't. Was the headline?
That was the headline, wasn't it?
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah, what did I read?
I have to jump in the water again. Yeah, there were some interesting comments below those articles. What was? Can you pull one or two of the?
Scroll down. Just waiting for the old internet.
I'm gonna get eaten. I'm gonna get eaten by my monster
Get
self.
eaten.
Oh no! Oh, I made it. Okay.
So yeah, for this, it's like I didn't like the game and I feel bad for not liking it. Somebody says you probably don't need anyone to tell you this, but you shouldn't feel bad about somebody else's personal experiences failing to resonate with you, especially when you put the effort in to open yourself to them. Sometimes experiences just don't mesh.
That's
Wise words.
But in that case, I wonder if it's possible. And this is it is impossible because when an experience doesn't mesh, when it doesn't resonate with you, sometimes your experiences, your reaction is to be snarky towards it, to be like, you know, deal with it.
Snarky.
People are very snarky, and that's the thing. As much as I might sit here and we talk about, you know, I'm making these emotional games based on my experience, but in real life, I'm not a perfect person.
What? It's the first I'm hearing.
Yeah. So I think it's really difficult to try to ask people to police themselves, and yet we are, as I think many people know, in a culture, in a place where, like you said, criticism is oftentimes seen as an attack.
I can't take the same route.
And of course, we have the reviewers that have come after this game, and that's that's part of the interesting point. They view their own criticism as something that they should feel bad about. They have a criticism. I'm kind of curious if, unless they think their criticism is unfounded, then why feel bad about it?
This person also makes a good point at the end of their comment, saying empathy isn't about feeling exactly what another person is putting out. That's sympathy. It's about making an effort to understand where they're coming from and what they're trying to say. So it's not about whether you can resonate with someone, it's whether you make the effort to try and resonate with someone, regardless of whether it worked or not.
Yeah. But that would be a good thing in general. Like for me, for instance, when I feel frustrated at people,
through the gate somehow.
It could be, or if I feel frustrated with a product or an experience, it could be to tell myself to slow down and try to understand, you know, where that thing is coming from, instead of, you know, reacting quickly. I'm definitely gonna get eaten.
Don't get eaten.
gonna get chomped. We talked about this once before. I used to have this incredible fear of jumping into water, especially at night. And one of the things that I taught myself, I forced myself to do, was jump off of my boat at night in the ocean. Obviously, we were anchored somewhere, but and swim around in the dark. Swim around. That thing is gonna come bite me. Where is it? Where am I supposed to go? Come on, Kay. Where am I? I hear it. I hear Jaws music.
Oh my god!
It's coming!
But it can't get through those gates, can it? You're safe in here. Probably.
Maybe. It literally, I heard like part of the Jaws theme in my... But I forced myself to jump into uncomfortable situations. It's interesting playing this and being forced to jump into inky black water.
And how did you like that first time you jumped into the water?
I was terrified. Obviously, my heart was racing, and you try to tell yourself to calm down and just, relax. And then I just started doing it more and more. And I find that, a lot of times that is what cures us of our traumas is repeated exposure. The opposite is also true, and we try to avoid the things that cause us trauma. We oftentimes amplify the effect of the trauma than when it does manifest, right? Yeah. And you know that, I know that, we've both dealt with that type of thing.
You remind me of the girl.
Lillian West says yes, exposure therapy is sometimes
like
very helpful.
Bright and glowing.
I think you're right.
Can you lead me to her, please?
It's true.
What's going on here?
I've met a thing called Moses, and I think Moses is going to part the seas.
Obviously.
That makes sense.
It does.
Now, many of the reviews and comments, there was the phrase "on the nose" being used a number of times, and I think when you have a character named Moses who parts the seas, that is pretty much the standard definition of on the nose.
Oh,
yeah.
Sometimes I forget you're only 12.
From the perspective of a writer, this is one of those things. You have to constantly remind yourself. For instance, the phrase we use is to show, not tell.
What is it?
So when you want to convey an emotion or you want to set up an element of the plot, you try to avoid exposition being too on the nose. You try to hint at it, and you also try to have the characters show the thing as opposed to vocalize the thing. And apparently that's one of the primary criticisms of the writing and the presentation of the story in this game.
Yeah, somebody wrote the comments, didn't they? It's quite harsh, and I've clearly not been listening to it. But they said that it sounded like it was written by a 5-year-old. It's not very good, it's not very subtle, it's just punching you in the face with the message that it wants to deliver.
I guess it depends, again, on the writer's expectation for the audience and how they might be trying to make the story accessible. And it could have been a sort of misstep on their part that they thought a lot more had to be done to handhold the player. I think, in fact, when you're writing, oftentimes one of your goals is to get the players to feel smart by having them figure out what it is you want them to understand, right? A big mistake is to underestimate people's ability to read your cues. And our goal as writers oftentimes really is to set up cues and to lay a breadcrumb trail, and have the player follow that and then feel smart for having figured something out.
And, you've been playing this now for what, half an hour? I've not really been paying much attention, been checking the chat and chatting and whatever, but do you feel it's been doing that yet? Breadcrumby, or it's a little too hand-holdy?
Well, I haven't really been listening to the dialogue much, so to be honest, I don't really have a lot of sense of what's going on in the story, but I don't mind that, because I'm being pulled through the environment, and I'm enjoying the visuals, and I kind of have a pretty clear sense of like, I need to follow the light. What I think, I don't know. Do I need more at this point? Maybe I don't. Uh-oh. Almost got eaten there. I need to not get eaten. Maybe like some of the people had written, I think we read 1 or 2 reviews where people said it might be better to turn off the story.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at this comment now, down on the Kotaku article. It says, I got a really bad first impression of the game, mainly for 2 reasons. 1, seems like the voice actors are forcing themselves to speak a different language than they normally speak, so everything sounds off.
There is
English,
I think this is
possibly their
English
second
as a
language.
second language for this, and that might be because it's a small indie studio, and they ended up doing a lot of that on a budget. Could be.
Maybe. Sounds right.
Yeah.
What's the second thing this person didn't like? The script is very annoying in the way it needs to overly explain everything, as if the writers think the players are too dumb to make any sort of connections. Didn't play more than an hour, that's all I could manage. This person did not like it.
I think that we as entertainment consumers are very sensitive to that, because we do get to consume so much entertainment, movies and TV shows and other games, and we have a very high expectation of the writing quality of the things that we consume. So that's a misstep. You know, you have to be really careful around that. And my sort of, if I felt like I was working with a team that didn't have the chops to pull off, say, audio recording of VO or writing, I would just present less of that in the game. And this may be a situation where they decided to go for it, and it wasn't something that was a strength. Just like me about to get eaten by the big fish.
Believe in you. I have
but
faith
you know,
in you.
when you're writing and when you're creating content like this, you are worried that the player won't understand what it is you're trying to communicate. And of course, one of the things you would do in that situation is overwrite. You know, there's a book out there I've highly recommend to anybody who's interested in writing, because it's one of the most concise and spot-on collection of the rules to writing that I think anybody that's, you know, an aspiring writer or even a professional writer can get something out of. It's by Stephen King, the horror author, and it's called Stephen King on Writing, O-N Writing. And it's a great book because it's really easy. It follows its own rule. It's very concise. It's very to the point. It doesn't say more than it has to. And this door is not open. Am I going to get eaten? Oh, there's a ladder. But it has rules that I think, you know, if you were to take a product that's struggling with its writing, and if you were to apply a lot of those rules generally, it'll improve things.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Another book recommendation. Second of the day.
Well, it is an art, writing, but there's also a lot of rules that kind of make it a bit of a science, especially now. We know what our narrative toolbox has inside in terms of dramatic situations. There's only so many dramatic situations, the models for drama, and there's only so many ways to present a story. So a lot of times it's less is more. Follow the model, put a unique twist on it, don't do more than you have to, and generally that's gonna see you through.
Is the glowing thing called Glowy? She just said, why did Glowy leave me here?
It's
Leave
called
me here."
Glowy, yes.
Right. Okay. Look at that. Speaking of writing, yeah, this morning you were singing the praises of Days Gone's writing.
Yep.
Story, such. It's not a very complicated story, and I mean, I said the voice acting, each individual line is performed very well, but I feel the technical aspects of it. The audio can often play at the wrong time, and they overwrite each other and stuff.
Oh, I was listening to you talk, and I died.
But yeah, in terms of the actual story writing, I guess I never put too much thought into it. I was just too busy enjoying the game. What is it you like the best?
In terms of the writing and the dialogue?
Yeah.
So they follow a couple of the general rules, that every line of dialogue has conflict in it. There's no sort of dialogue wasted on fluff.
Right.
It's all very to the point. But the conflict issue is an important one. So you never have characters who just immediately agree to whatever it is that's being proposed, right?
There's always agreeing to anything in that game. They're all calling each other assholes.
Well, but we like that. And that's why we call it drama, right? So whenever we have two characters on screen, there's a bit of a conflict between them, but the conflict is driven by our understanding, and this is also very critical, our understanding of their personal goals. And that means that each of the characters in the game actually has a personal goal, and that goal is based on a foundation of their backstory. And so when we hear them resisting one another's propositions, it all makes sense in the context of who they are as characters. And we like that. We do. We like to see two characters who we understand, who have opposing positions, try to work out how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Now, there's only so long I can take a universe where characters are doing that. That was one of the things where I wish that Walking Dead ended after maybe the 3 or 4 seasons. Because there's a point where you're like, guys, come on. You're all gonna die. You need to get along. And yet everyone was acting against the most basic of their shared instincts, and that is survival. And that starts to become frustrating. You can understand it for a while, but after a while you think surely these characters would progress, grow, and learn as characters, and they would stop thwarting each other on that most basic of instincts, which is survival.
I stuck with The Walking Dead right to the end. Through the ups and the downs, I was just too invested in it. But yet, near the end, I would sometimes cast my mind back to like season 1 and 2, and I'd be like, oh, remember how good it used to be?
Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Well, it starts to fall apart when their motivations start to go against their survival instinct. And it also starts to fall apart when you have characters who have to go back and forth on the spectrum of friend, enemy, drama, you know, personal goals, group goals, personal goals, group goals. And you can accept the rubber banding a few times because it's human nature, but after you've had to endure multiple seasons of it, again, you start to become frustrated with the characters and ask yourself, will they ever learn? And if they won't. No, and that's where
Spoiler alert, they never learn.
Well, and that's where I threw my hands up in the air and said, I'm done with you guys. You're a bunch of idiots, and I'm done with you.
Well, I think it's finished now, isn't it? That was the final season.
Did they all die? Please.
A lot of them died.
Hey.
Rick died.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to get him to chase me so then the door...
Coral.
Coral!
Let's see what's going on in the chat.
So I'm in school, and I'm being teased by school children.
I wonder what this could represent.
I'm just joking.
Bullying.
Dad, right?
Really?
It feels like bullying.
/S.
I like the presentation of this area. Again, I think the art has been done really well. The particles, that kind of stuff. Ow! Ah, no! I died.
I noticed.
I like how her recovery from death animation is getting up. She has to get up off the floor. She doesn't just sort of reappear in the environment in a puff of smoke. She gets back up.
Nice.
And I think that makes sense in the context of her journey here, obviously. There's little touches like that throughout that are quite nice.
Fall in.
I'm just watching them wave.
Feels like somebody's having a rave. Down
It is.
underneath.
They're dancing. I suppose if those guys touch me, I'm gonna be sad.
Hey guys,
don't
look!
get touched.
I think I can get this pencil stuck in Sonny's hair.
Don't! Ow, that hurts!
I want to go.
I can see it.
What's wrong
You
with
can
you?
see.
Lure them that way,
Now
but then
hold still.
jump back over that way.
Oh, thanks, Font Lord. I wouldn't have figured that out by myself. This is what PewDiePie is missing. He doesn't have a sidekick to help him get through his Minecraft adventures.
Does he not?
Oh no!
Oh, jeez, Rick.
No. Oh, I didn't die. What the hell? Why didn't I? Uh-oh, it's turning colors. I think I'm dying.
Don't worry, you can get back up again.
So she does. She buried her face in her hands as the sort of death animation. So it's a sort of giving up.
Terry Baker said the school children are metaphors for school children.
They are, indeed.
They are. I wonder if the.
I think.
I wonder
You
if
go ahead.
the creators of this, if they'll ever see our Let's Play.
They might. I tweeted to Cornelia
Right.
because I am
We
connected
haven't
with her
been
on
mean,
Twitter.
have we?
You have been horribly
When?
mean.
I haven't been mean.
You've not been mean. Don't worry, Martin. You're the least meanest.
We might have been a little
Leastiest.
cheeky.
No, I would hope that anyone who worked on this game who's watching this understands this is an honest exploration of the issues of presenting this type of game and the reaction. And again, I was looking forward to it. I'm happy we're playing it, and I'm very interested by the reaction from the reviewers. And again, those headlines say it all. You know, I wanted to like this and something. Wow.
No spoilers for The Walking Dead, please. I
Oh,
still
come
watch
on.
it.
Wow. Is that
Come
how you treat your
on.
mates?
Yeah.
No wonder we are
Sorry.
only friends.
Apparently, it's so stupid that they killed Coral because he is the main character in the comic
Did they
book.
kill Carl?
Coral died. He got
Oh
bit.
no. Was it Carl bleaching?
It wasn't coral bleaching.
I hear that's caused by global warming.
Bella Ghost Family has been messaging us constantly. So
Okay.
we can answer some stuff.
Is it one of those
has-
ones where she's ignoring the
don't
ask to do a super chat?
Probably.
Okay.
Has Alice went to school?
I'm gonna leave alone the obvious response to that. And I'm gonna say that yes, you actually have school days as a level in the Alice games, and I don't know. And she had been attending school prior to the madness of the first game. That's why we had a school level in there.
There you go. Bella
Right.
Ghost Family. Alice has went to school. Kill him! Kill him!
Well, I'm trying to use the backpack on them because apparently that's what I should be doing, right?
You can suck them.
It's not working though.
No. Suck
No.
harder.
Well, it's strange because I just managed to do it. I passed the ones on the stairs by vacuuming them into the...
Were they stunned first before you sucked them?
They might have been, and yet I think my tool... See, the tool for stunning them is the flare. Look, this area is lit up and bright. Maybe
So
I've...
lure them. Go towards them. Lure them in.
Well, I think my flare activated that light, right? And now if we pull them in
Now
here...
suck.
I'm doing. Look, I got... But the one I managed to get was outside of the lit up zone.
You know what to do, so it's all.
Do I?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Don't fall. There's a good life lesson for everyone there. Suck, don't fall.
But if...
Put the light on, lure them, fire at the light again, and then suck them.
Really?
Yes.
You think?
Yes. Suck!
I'm trying. Do you know if it was as easy as you think you're making it out to be, I could actually do it? I know this sounds
But
like...
you just did it, so
You know, I know
well
you...
done you.
Yeah.
Help me.
It's there's a challenging aspect to this that it's goes beyond just sucking. Pretty good at sucking, let me tell you, Martin.
What else is going on over here? The Lupin 3222 says
Wendy says, American, you're great with making games, but you suck at playing them.
Indeed.
Whatever, Wendy.
But Lupin is a big fan of your games. They're amazing, apparently.
Not listening to you, Wendy. You get
Listening
good at
to
making
Lupin.
games, and then I'll listen to you talk about me sucking at playing them. How about that?
Are the other kids whispering in a creepy way?
We catch you.
Well, they've all got little lines. They're teasing me. For sure, they're teasing me.
Crystal asks if the second drawing will happen soon. We might need to do a first drawing again. One-Eyed Skull didn't say alt.
Well, then we'll do 2 drawings. One-Eyed Skull didn't say anything.
Okay.
Yes, Crystal, we will do 2 drawings soon. Do we want to take a break? It's 11:30. We can take a break. We can do a drawing.
Take a break.
Drawings. Hello, I'm Simon. What was that Mike Myers character who liked to do drawings?
What? was this in a movie or
Saturday
on
Night
Saturday
Live.
Night Live? I didn't
Saturday
see
Night
any
Live.
of that.
It was Mike Myers, and he had a character, I think, named Simon, who was a little British boy who sat in the bathtub and liked to do drawings.
Drawings.
Yes. All right, everybody. We are going to do a drawing for a White Rabbit plush. And again, in the theme of Solitude, the White Rabbit plush is a good companion if you're feeling lonely. What are you going to have them spam up the chat with?
Ooh, I haven't been thinking about that.
All right, I tell you what. Why don't you spam up the chat with your general rating of Sea of Solitude so far on a scale of 1 to 10?
Or maybe the general rating of our Let's Play of Sea of Solitude.
How about you just mix it up? Why don't you just put a number between 1 and 10 in the
Everything
chat?
you saw in the last hour, give it a number between 1 and 10.
We haven't done a Let's Play in a while.
No. We kind of went off Little Nightmares.
We were playing Little Nightmares. I think the
We
problem...
got a time happened where we just got like a ton of art.
We got lots of art.
And it literally took up the entire stream.
This is true. They do. We get so much art. This week, we didn't have quite as much, but I know why. It's because we have artists focused on stuff that some of which we can't really talk about very much. Some of it, obviously, is the Pirate Jam stuff that we showed off. Mm-hmm. But also, there's all these little bits and pieces happening on the Asylum denial area, which we've shown off. I know Jennifer has been working on that, but we recently pulled Jennifer onto the pixel art for the Pirate Jam stuff. And so that, I think, was a bit of a distraction for her. Yeah. Alex has been working on the Pirate Jam stuff. People probably wonder, like, why are you messing around with Pirate Jam right now? We still have, I don't know, it's like 9 months to go.
Takes a long time to plan.
It takes a long time to build everything.
It's not just go to Thailand and jump on the nearest boat.
No. As you know, last time around, I had to go to Thailand multiple times for the pre-planning stuff. And so I have to go run the route and make sure that I know where we're stopping. And I have to check out like what our anchorages are going to be and what the tides are like and how much chain we're going to have to put out and how we're going to get food and water and what our emergency evacuation routes are in the case anything goes wrong. And I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff that has to be dealt with. But what we're doing right now is primarily focusing on trying to attract sponsors, which in and of itself is quite difficult, to say the least. Oh, we're getting some high numbers here for whatever reason.
Yeah, but we're also getting some low numbers as well.
Well.
So some of you who gave 4s, you can get bent.
Well, we'll make sure they don't win the rabbit.
We'll try.
Too much water. 7.8 out of 10. That's very specific, Lone Spot. I don't know. 7.5.
We've got a 3.
Is that for us or for the game, though?
I don't know.
There's a lot of 8s and 9s in here.
I think we're probably averaging a 7.5 out of 10.
And you know what?
That's
actually what it looks like when you look at the rating for Sea of Solitude amongst the users. It's got a Google score of 92%. No, that's just turned my phone on. It's so go away, Google. Yeah, it's got a Google score of 92%, but then...
It's in airplane mode, so I can't help you with that at the moment.
Okay.
Thanks. My phone is in airplane mode because we're doing a live stream, you knob. So you're not supposed to pop up right now. But yeah, it's got a 92% for the users. And then, of course, when we look at the critical scores, that's where I think it kind of gets a little bit more interesting. You know, I mean, these are these articles you could go and read. So the Eurogamer Kotaku. I don't like Sea of Solitude, and I feel really bad about it. I mean, I don't know.
That's a weird concept. If you don't like something, you don't like something. Don't feel bad about not liking it just because it's a relevant subject or whatever.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's an interesting thing, though. You know, maybe in the search for something to talk about in their reviews, they need to have a headline like that, right?
Trying to get those clicks.
Yeah, I mean, reviewers got to review and click and whatnot as well. So there you go. All right, here we go. We're going to roll it. It's Danilo Vinicius.
Danilo Vinicius.
Sounds like a character from Game of Thrones. And Danilo gave us a 999.
Sounds like a type of ice cream.
Vinicius? Delicious Vinicius? Maybe
Delicious Vanillio.
Maybe that person's nickname is Delicious. Delicious Vinicius, you have won the White Rabbit plush. And so if you've ever watched our live streams before, you'll know the routine is to email mysterious@americanmcgee.com and be sure to include your name, your phone number, your address, your mailing address. Do all that in a format that is easy for us to decode and then put into a mailing label, and also do that inside of 24 hours.
Yes.
If you fail at any of that, well, then you're not getting a rabbit.
Yeah. Are we doing another?
Are we?
Well, the one-eyed skull didn't say anything.
No, we have to wait until the end of the stream, Martin. We still have a game to play.
Okay.
And then we're going to give away one more rabbit at the end of the stream.
Are we going to big up Freaky Fandoms?
I think you should do that right now.
Okay.
It's a fantastic idea. And I think that what they're talking about this week is quite interesting as well.
Yes, the film Midsummer. So yeah, Freaky Fandoms is a podcast from our super duper biggest sponsors who have been with us for ages. They do all kinds of cult, movie, music, games type chat. This week's podcast is the movie Midsummer. We watched the trailer for this before going live. Looked okay.
I think it looks great, but I have a personal connection to this.
Yeah, you said
though.
It looked weird, like something you'd seen in Thailand.
Well, yeah, so one of the places we often sail to, in fact, it's where we had our pirate jam on numerous occasions, is called Koh Lanta. And Koh Lanta is this place, white sand beaches, and there's a beach there. It's actually called Long Beach. And one of the features of Koh Lanta is that during the winter, a lot of people from the Nordic countries, Sweden and Norway and all this, they go and they sort of take over the northern end of the island here. So Long Beach is up here. They basically, they have schools and restaurants and all kinds of shopping, and they've basically got this whole top of the island becomes a Nordic village for the entire winter. Well, what happens is that around Christmas, you get all of the Nordic people in this, you can see in the background here, in their white costumes, and they do this Christmas wreathery, and they're carrying torches, and they're doing their little songs. And the first time I saw it, I freaked out because I thought that was like, they're freaky. That's a freaky thing to see.
Like you just walked into the middle of a cult or something?
Yes, exactly. And then, so anyway, that is the premise of this movie, is that this land of the permanent daylight, in the middle of summer up there near the Arctic Circle, and everybody's, blonde hair, blue eyes, dressed all in white, and it looks all clean and happy, and guess what?
It's not.
It's not.
So yeah, people apparently are touting this as an incredible movie, this generation's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Freaky Fandoms, Andrew and Deborah, strongly disagree. So that is what this week's podcast is about. Head on over, give it a listen, give them some love, because they deserve it.
They are our biggest sponsor. We have another advertising sponsor at that level, but that person has never reached out to us to explain.
Message him.
That's very strange. So yeah, the Freaky Fandoms, if you go over and you support them, you are helping to support us. There are links in the description below. Go check out Andrew and Deborah. They are on Patreon, they're on SoundCloud, they're on iTunes, and again, they are in the description below.
If you're listening, Andrew and Deborah, you should do a podcast about the movie Life Force if you haven't already. I watched that again the other day. I remember it from my youth. Still great. Do you know it? Space vampires.
Space vampires.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that the main space vampire was a sexy naked woman who spent most of the movie walking around.
Oh, I know that movie. Yeah, okay.
10-year-old me really enjoyed that movie.
No, Martin.
But it is still a really fun and hokey old movie. Now I'm all grown up. So they should do...
Because 10-year-old you is still in there somewhere going...
Somewhere he's...
Naked space vampire.
Tittering away.
Good one. All right. That was actually a nice little screenshot that we paused on there.
It's not bad.
I like that. I like the design of these enemies. I do feel like I'm probably on board with some of the reviewers who were saying that the game visuals, the gameplay, a lot of these things I like, and that maybe the dialogue takes a little bit away. Interesting.
So they should have just less is more in this instance.
Perhaps. Could have been. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this as well. I do hope that this studio makes more of this type of content, and maybe they'll kind of go somewhere with that. You know, they'll make more in this style, and they'll kind of take some direction from the feedback that they've got. I mean, for sure, I know that the negative reviews and the constructive reviews that we got around Alice Madness Returns will absolutely help to guide some of the things that we're going to do with the new game, with Asylum.
Yeah. You'd hope that people can take constructive criticism and learn from it. They don't sort of like double down on defending themselves.
Well, one of the things...
As long as it's constructive. People aren't just saying your game's shit or whatever.
Well, you have to be careful who you take your feedback from, because even your biggest fans can misrepresent what it is about the product that the mass market would be interested in. And this is the thing we were talking about before. You're making a game, it's partly for yourself as an artist, it's partly for the audience, and you know, you've got a whole range of audience, different types of game players who are attracted to different types of gameplay elements, and then you're making it to some degree for the reviewers, because of course somebody financed and published your game and they'd like for it to do really well, and a lot of times that has to do with review scores.
Yep.
Now we should mention that this title is published by EA. And of course we have read our fair share of people being concerned about EA and their involvement in Asylum. But I think it's interesting that EA, clearly they took a bet on an artistic game, something that sort of doesn't align with their, you know, sort of sports games, action games. I mean, it's good. It's good to see EA taking a risk, taking a chance on an artistic game.
What's happening?
I don't know. Something's happening.
Follow Glowy. Is that Glowy?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it just took a hit. I know that was painful. Uh-oh, I'm turning blue. I may not survive this. I can't see anything, actually, so I don't really know what's going on. It's very dark in here.
Let's just say, I don't know if you're still there, a quick good night to motorcycle girl, Luna Leon. They're off to bed. Apparently they've been snuggling their bunny so much, it's got a hole in it. Stop snuggling it so much.
Well, they should have holes in them. They're distressed
They
bunnies.
are distressed.
Yes.
And Lillian West sends along a super chat, just to say, because your stream has made my day.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Very, very glad to hear that.
Lillian. Let's have a look at some more of these comments.
You have Patreon comments as well. Don't forget that. I did print those out for you. Don't make that
Okay.
a waste that I did that.
I don't want to waste this one sheet of paper.
Hey,
So
I
let's
printed
have a
that.
Quick look at some of these then. Talking about the little mysterious stickers that we now add to the backs of posters. Megan Bush says the little improvements you are doing to help the fans. You are the kindest creator that I have ever seen.
Well,
Thank
that's
you for
very
your
sweet.
consideration.
Can't be true.
That feels a bit much there,
did I
Megan.
miss this?
But thank
I knew
you.
it
We
wasn't
do
happening.
try
But
Try not
to
to cry.
constantly make things better.
Yeah, and Wendy J says they look amazing. Love to have one to use as a sticker.
Sonny,
I
I
think
had
that's
no
a thing.
idea. Why didn't you tell me?
Oh.
So she's having a bit of a dialogue with this giant bird whose name is Sunny and who's complaining that she is uncool.
Looks a bit like a black falcor.
Sonny.
Not falcor. What's the name of the blooming luck dragon? Never-ending story.
We had this as a
Atreus.
yeah.
No, that's
that
the
was
kid.
a horse.
It was
Atreus.
Falco.
What was the name of the? I thought that was the name of the horse.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell.
This is all their
Well.
fault.
Oh well.
They
You
made
know what I
like
meant.
this. I won't leave you again.
Jenny Hughes thanks us for our hard work and is very excited for choosing Perfectly Unbalanced as the reward for the print this month.
All right.
Great picture.
It is a very beautiful picture,
You're gonna like it, Jenny.
and there have been quite a few of those signed. Uh-oh. That was brilliant. I basically jumped right on top of the monster.
Well, that's not helping anyone.
In Chinese, we would say about that, death, Guai Buddha. That means, what did you expect? Guai Buddha. Okay, what did you expect?
Joey Logan also wants that print and asks if they can purchase it or does it have to be at the 3 for 35 tier? Well, you can purchase it. It's on Mysterious, and it will be part of the 3 for 35 tier going forwards from now onwards. So, two choices, Joey. Andrew Velosky, again, just bigging us up. Thanks for all the attention to detail that you put into stuff like this. Thank you, Andrew.
I'm scaring away seagulls. I think that feels like they kind of put the seagulls in there so we would have an ability to fly through the levels on the camera like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Where's Falcor?
Somebody else says it's Artreyu.
Oh, Atreu's the horse. Atreu.
Oh well.
Anyway, right, I've gone through half of those Patreon comments on my sheet now. Let's go back to some of these.
Well, you got to finish
Sea
the
of
Patreon
Solitude.
comments.
Yeah, just mixing it up a bit, keeping them guessing. I'm looking at the time.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time. Oh, this is the comment from the guy that says, I've read it's better to play the game with voices and subtitles turned off. Let the non-verbal storytelling do its work.
Yeah, could do. That's a bit of a shame, though. You know, there's passion and work that goes into the writing and the dialogue, so...
Yeah. What else we got? Oh, this is one of those really infuriating things in gaming. What did this person go on to say? Wanted it to be really cool, like the Team Ico games. And then played it and was disappointed from the start. The main menu is cheap. So much potential wasted. Nothing comes together. Each single ingredient is great, but it doesn't come together.
Well, it could be the person, obviously they had very high expectations, and
It did
when
look
you...
like they'd been looking forwards to it for a while.
Yep. And I think, you know, you have to be careful when you go into something with high expectations. I mean, this is one of the things that makes me nervous about what we're doing with Asylum, because we've invited the players into the pre-production process. We are, without a doubt, we're amping up their expectations because they have some part to play in what's going to be created. And now they're going to think like, well, if we had their involvement and then we somehow screw it up, we get really excited. Oh, I came up with all these ideas. I'm going to see them in the game, and then somehow we don't execute it well. Man, that's going to be some super. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I made it. Oh. See, I've been playing so much Days Gone that I feel like I should be able to jump in that dumpster and hide in there.
What are we talking about?
You were reading that review where the person had very high expectations, which were ultimately violated.
Sure, I had something else to say on that subject, but it.
Well, have you had a game that's done that to you recently? Because I've had a few.
I did that with Days Gone, actually. I mean, I've played some really good AAA games recently. God of War, Spider-Man, probably others. And although I've said that I think Days Gone lacks the polish to be AAA, it's still immense fun. So I was all ready for pre-ordering that. I know you shouldn't pre-order stuff until you read reviews, but I was ready. But I kind of held off because a lot of the early reviews slagged it off. And I'm like, ooh, maybe it's not as good as I thought. It looked really good. Maybe it's poop. But then, a few days...
Is that an official review score? Poop?
Poop out of 10. But then I read actual user reviews, and everyone was loving it. So then I, obviously, as you know, bought it, and it's fantastic.
Well...
So yeah, I was hyped for it, and then I was sort of like, ooh, maybe it's not good. But then, it turned out great.
Well, this brings up a really important point, and I think that it's a very good closing point as we're wrapping up this live stream today. That point being that, do like I do. I get excited for a thing, and then when the thing is launched, I will read a few sort of professional reviews, but I generally tend to put my expectations for what it's going to be like on the reviews, the word of mouth from my friends, and from reading, enough player feedback, and from the right kind of sites, right? Because different sites have a different tone to them. Mm-hmm. Not all of these sites, have the kinds of players which might like the kind of games I like. So you find your community, and then you listen to what your community is saying about a particular game. And I think that's really important, and then ultimately do your research and make your own choice. Whatever these reviewers have said about this game or other games, look, they're not you. And they obviously don't have, and they struggle with this issue of, oh, I felt like I should have liked this, but I didn't. Okay, I'm really glad that they've admitted that, because that means we should be able to take all their reviews with a bit of a grain of salt like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Right, let's plow through the rest of these little comments here. Sarah Heist. They are on their Rutledge tag, Insane Child 50. It's a good one.
Hey.
But is going to give their tag away to a good friend who just finished playing Madness Returns for the first time. And they will be joining Patreon and Discord soon. Excellent. More to the family. The Dots Ahoy poster, well, this is from Evan Greenwood, says the poster looks brilliant. Love the concept. It is good. I think Alex has done well.
Too busy, Alex.
It's too busy. Use more fonts. Use less fonts.
I love how his email with that image, the first thing that he wrote was, "Don't tell me it's too busy."
Really, it is really busy. But
it
in a
is
good
super
way.
busy, but yeah, it's in a good way. Hey, I got my boat stuck here.
Angel Ellis goes on to say about how you're saying August is probably going to be very busy with Cheshire Plush and babies arriving and still doing sort of like Alice and Pirate Jam production. Saying it's going to be insane indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, little
so
boat. Get out of there.
Can't wait to get their hands on the Swirls print. Yes, we've added the Mushroom Head Swirls print is now available on Mysterious, and
It
it's
is.
3 for $35, even though it lost the popular vote by a smidge. So both Mushroom Head prints are available now. So, yay.
There you go.
Maxime Bernard says, I love what you all do. It's incredibly insane. I support you despite my money is lost elsewhere. Can I buy some replicas on Mysterium? No. Don't really do replica stuff, but there's a lot of cool stuff over on Mysterious. Go over and check it out. There's like 210 products now. Probably more. How did that happen?
Oh no!
Oh no, how did that happen?
I don't. I was going to see that bird, and then I jumped in the water, and the hands ate me.
But yeah, you know, Maxine, head over to Mysterious, see what's there. There's a lot of awesome things. And I think Joey Logan has got the wrong end of the stick here. That I got my tags. New patient number. I was 150, now it's 418. Lol.
Well, I think if he's lulling about it, I think we're okay. I keep getting my boat stuck. I mean, it's...
I think Joey thought that, you know, whenever we sent out something in the past, like a certificate, inside, you know, like a Chaos coin box or whatever, that is your number forever. No, the numbers are random.
What?
Sorry, Joey.
There was a bottle in the bottle tricked me.
Tripped or tricked?
Tricked.
You got tricked by a bottle.
Tricked by a bottle. I'm a simple man, Martin. It doesn't take much to trick me.
Really? Right, that's really all the comments.
Well, that was perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Font Lord. I think we're gonna call it. Let's go have one last interaction with this giant angry bird. You got to think about what the question is you're gonna ask for that last rabbit.
You can't keep flag.
All right, I'm thinking.
Okay, maybe you can.
Something about this game. What's your favorite bird? No. What? You have a favorite bird? Surely yours is the eagle. The freedom eagle.
That's a very bizarre...
There's a big bird on the screen.
Starting to scare me.
Your favorite bird?
Probably chicken.
What?
I mean, why wouldn't
Is that
it be?
your favorite edible bird?
No, you can have a non-edible bird as your favorite if you want.
Well, I mean, if it's birds I can eat, I'd definitely say a chicken. So I guess that's gonna be the question. The question for the super chat, spamming, so you can win a bunny plush of your very own, is what is your favorite bird? Way to go with the questions, Font Lord. What is my favorite bird? I think that I had an answer to this once, and it had something to do with these birds that fly for incredibly, like, thousands of miles, and I want to say that's not an egret, but it's a... Oh boy, sailors don't particularly like them.
Seagulls.
No.
Albatross.
Albatross. There you go. Albatrosses. If you look up an albatross, I think that they have the ability to fly for like 1,000 miles at a time or something like that.
Wow. But they do it on sort of like warm air currents, don't they? They don't really flap for that long. They just kind of go along with the wind on their massive wings.
I'm not an albatross expert, so I'm not gonna...
I'm finding out so much about you today.
Yeah.
You're not perfect, and now you're not an albatross expert.
I should probably update my LinkedIn, because I think it says on there that I'm an albatross expert. So we're getting a lot of ravens. Actually, ravens are pretty cool. They not only have a very nice Edgar Allan Poe story about them, but they also are incredibly smart. Have you ever seen some of these videos where ravens...
They are clever old
use
things.
tools and they work together in teams.
I've seen them sort of bend wire into hooks to grab stuff, and I've heard stories that they will sort of drag or drop trash bags into the road
to get them run over.
So cars run over the bags, and then the goodies spill
right.
out.
You know that I should answer this question with a very sweet answer, and that would be my wife, because I think many people probably don't know, but her name in Chinese, Yin, it might sound to the Western ear like kind of yin and yang, but it is the Chinese word for a type of bird. I believe in English it's called a swallow. And so that ought to be my answer. Let's see here if I can pull up the character. Now they've pulled up swallow as in the act There we go. There's the noun
There it is.
for those who
Yan.
care. Not yan, yin. So that's what that character right there is. And that is a
Okay.
type of bird, and it is a swallow.
For a minute there, I thought you were being very sexist, like when you call women birds.
No, she's literally named after a type of bird.
You don't really hear that slang much anymore, but then again, I don't live
We
in
don't
England.
live there. I don't have any clue. That was the other day. Omri sent the picture, and I said it looked very like it was filled with bling. And then I wondered, like, do people even say bling anymore?
Yeah, let us know. In the West, do people like say, do they still say like, "Whoa, she's a cracking bird"?
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
Oh, well. All right, we're going to ask Nightbot to roll it. Here we go.
Roll it.
And Chaussette. I think Chaussette's already got a rabbit, but anyway, congratulations, Chaussette.
Have another
She's
one.
a supporter as well, and
Been
she's
with
a
us
patron.
for ages.
She has been with us for ages. I guess that's why Nightbot decided to shine on you today. So, yeah, Chaussette, you know the drill. You can send an email to mysterious@americanmedia.com. Be sure to include your name, your mailing address, your phone number, all those kinds of things, and that you've won a White Rabbit plush. And hey, if you've already got one, don't feel bad. You can have another, and you can give it to somebody who needs a plush to squeeze.
Oh,
She says re-roll.
She doesn't want to double snuggle.
Ah, boy. Our insane children are so sweet.
They are.
There you go. Mad Pigman. Pigman?
Mad Pigman.
All right, Mad Pigman, you have just benefited from the kindness of Chaussette. Never underestimate that. And that means that you will get the White Rabbit plush instead. So please do send an email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Do all the things that I've previously said about your address and your phone number, and do all that inside of 24 hours.
Yes.
Now we're going to wrap up. There are things that you can do to help support the
Ooh.
effort that we're making on...
We're saying the things.
Yeah, what else are we going to do?
Exactly.
I think it's the end of the live stream. Is it not?
Yes.
So there is a list of things over at AmericanMcGee.com that you can do to help us with the effort we are making on Alice Asylum. For those of you unclear on this, we are in fact working on the pre-production for a sequel to, I guess it's a prequel to, the Alice series. This will be the third game in the series. And so if you'd like to help support what we're doing, here is the list at AmericanMcGee.com. You go over and sign up the mailing list. Do not sign up your dead grandmother. We only need living, breathing, actual Alice fans to sign up for that list. Follow me on social media. That's on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the Instagram, and the YouTube. And we do post project updates and all kinds of other fun content on all those platforms. We do have a Patreon. And in fact, it is our patrons that help to support all of the fantastic work that you see being done. That is the artwork, the design work, the story. We have a pretty big team these days. Patreon is helping us to support 7 people.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and so that is not insignificant. The contributions that are made are really enabling a tremendous amount of creative effort that could otherwise not happen. So I'm very thankful for Patreon. I'm very thankful for our patrons. Really fantastic thing that we've discovered in leveraging that platform and working closely with our insane children through the crowd design process. And if you'd like to be a part of that, you might also be able to grab some of the special perks and rewards that we have set up over there. Discord server access, Cheshire Kitten plush collector sets, art prints, all kinds of fun stuff. And then last but not least, we have a website called Mysterious, and that has all kinds of merchandise. You can actually go over there and buy a rabbit plush, but you could also buy things like a Bloody Alice t-shirt or a Vorpal wallet. We even sell skulls.
Yeah.
Like we just literally have skulls for sale over there. They're not real skulls, but if you ever felt the need to buy a skull and you needed to know where you might do that, well, that's a place
Now
that
you know.
Now you know where to buy a skull. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Martin should play on the next go around. I agree.
I'll give it a go.
Yes, more Martin, says Wendy.
Wendy also asks if you meant to say twatter.
I did.
Thought so.
Because I think, you know why? Because I think Twitter is a cesspool of nonsense.
And you think that you've been shadow banned.
I've been shadow banned on there for sure.
So you're not a fan.
I think it's because I expressed support for a particular hacker whose name I shall not mention because I'm pretty sure YouTube would then demonetize this video, but his initials are J and A, and he wrote a book about the dangers of the social platforms as systems for controlling the masses. And I do believe that a lot of these platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, are being used for not great purposes. And so when I used to tweet often about that topic, I think that it ended up with my being deboosted, I think is the euphemism these days, but deboosted on places like Twitter and Facebook. So who knows? Anyway, if you want to follow along, I don't tweet about those things anymore because I don't feel like it's going to really make much of a difference. It's spitting in the wind, as they say. All right. Yes, everybody, next time round, we will switch sides. Do I have to sit in your Brit chair?
Maybe.
We'll switch sides, and Martin will play Sea of Solitude, and I'll make fun of him.
All right.
Even though I'll get in trouble for making fun of you.
Fine.
All right, everybody. Have a very good rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. Jib it up.
Jib it up.
Get bent.
Get bent.
Do the things. And we'll see you later.
Good night.